Freakier Friday was released in 2025 and was directed by Nisha Ganatra. It tells the story taking place 22 years after the original, where Anna now has a daughter and a soon-to-be stepdaughter. As the families begin to merge, they come across challenges where Tess and Anna discover that lightning could possibly be striking twice by swapping bodies with the two daughters. Me and my younger sister Gemma decided to watch Freakier Friday because we both actually watched the original Freaky Friday a few weeks ago. That was I think it was her second time seeing it. She had seen it before, but that was actually my first time seeing the original. And as for my thoughts on the original, I quite like it. I think it's pretty solid. It's got a good story, good characters, some pretty good music, and overall I found it to be a fun, solid, and very entertaining movie. So after watching the original, I was pretty curious to see the sequel. I knew very little of the plot, and after watching it for the first time last night, my sister felt that the movie was average. She felt it was mid. And as for me, I think it's good enough. It's a bit of a step down from the original, but I think it's got some things going, but overall, I don't think it's great. The storyline is pretty weak. It's quite on the nose with the predictability. The predictability is not very well executed. The direction of the film, it's too obvious. It's too easy to know what's going to happen. The film just feels very obvious, especially with the third act. The third act was ridiculous with the predictability. It was just so obvious with how it was going to go, and even like the way the characters were talking didn't help at all. It actually just made the predictability even more so. The movie also tries way too hard to be like the first one in areas, to the point where it feels a lot like a rehash. Some of the references are actually okay and do actually work for the film's benefit, but for the most part, the amount of references the film throws in just feels like it's trying way too hard to be the original. I feel like at times it was kind of trying to be the original, just copy and pasted, and that led to another problem I had with the movie, that being the film's comedy. The film's comedy is kind of a mixed bag. The comedy is quite funny in a few areas. There is some funny lines of dialogue, but I felt with some of the jokes, at times I feel like the movie tried way too hard to be a 2000s property, and that kind of failed because it didn't really feel right, and at times some of the movie's humor just came across as quite cheesy. There was definitely some funny, corny moments, but I felt a lot of the corny moments just kind of came across as just stupid and a little bit cringy. I feel the most predictable aspect of the movie has to be the dynamic of Lily and Harper. I feel it's just way too obvious, it's way too easy with how the direction of their characters is going to go. It just feels basic. It just feels very surface level, and there's nothing really unique or, written that well about their characters, because their dynamic, it's way too obvious with how it's going. The dynamic with Tess and Anna is still good enough, but it's just not as strong or as well written as it was in the original film. Even though the storyline is quite weak with its execution, there is some decent things going for it. There is some heart in the right places, there is some funny jokes, but the overall plot, it's too predictable. It's way too easy and way too on the nose, and the direction does not help at all. So the film's storyline is quite weak. The movie visually is very nice. There is some lovely shots, especially when they're at the beach. There's some nice locations. The lighting is good. The color correction is good. It feels like a genuine sequel to the original on a visual level. The visuals of the movie are definitely pretty decent, and the performances are actually better than they were in the first one. Everyone still owns their characters. Everyone, you can tell, is having a good time playing these characters, and I think everyone did a pretty solid performance overall. However, while the performances are good, much like the story, the characters are also a bit of a downgrade. Anna and Tess are definitely the best characters in the movie. Their relationship is still good, and it does bring in some of the movie's heart, but at the same time, it kind of just feels like a rehash, except this time they're swapping bodies with the two daughters. And the two daughters themselves, Harper and Lily, are okay characters. Harper is fine, and her relationship with her mother isn't too bad, but I wish we got more development out of it, and Lily in the beginning is extremely unlikable. I feel she's the most predictable character of the movie because it's just extremely way too on the nose with the direction of how her character is going to be taken. And the exact same thing can be said about the relationship of Harper and Lily. It's not bad by any means, but it's just so extremely way too predictable with how it's going to go, and the execution is very, very weak. Lily's father, Eric, is okay. He doesn't really do a lot in the film, but he's fine. He's not a bad character, but the movie could have done a lot more with him to flesh him out. The characters this time, while some are still good, they're just not as well written or as interesting or as engaging as they were in the original film. They just feel downgraded. The relationships are not as strong, and the direction of the characters just feels like they're trying way too hard to be the original. The music of the film is pretty good. It kind of relies a little bit on nostalgia bait by reusing some of the same music from the original, but I actually didn't think it was that bad. I thought some of the reused music actually worked. And the new music in the movie is actually pretty good, so I was impressed with the music and how it fitted with the movie. While I do think there is some merit that holds it back from being any worse, I don't think the overall movie is anywhere near as good as the original, and I honestly feel like as time goes on, I'm probably gonna like it less. As it stands, Freakier Friday is a good enough sequel, but a step down from the original Freaky Friday back from 2003. Overall, Freakier Friday is a step down from the original. The story's not as good, the characters are not as well written, and the direction is extremely on the nose with pretty weak execution. But it does have some heart in the right places, the performances are good, and the music of the movie is pretty good, to be fair. I'm going to give Freakier Friday a 7 out of 10. So while I really like the first Freaky Friday, and while I feel the sequel is a step down, I'm still glad that I gave them both a chance. I'm still happy to say that I did get around to watching them. So that's it for my review of Freakier Friday. Let me know what you guys think of it and the first movie in the comments section below. Stay tuned for my next review, which is going to be on Tron Ares. Yes. It's got some interesting responses from what I've heard so far, but I'm curious about the movie to say the least. But until then, stay tuned for my review of that. Take care, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching, and until then, skidoosh, everyone.